Hey guys, welcome to Meals with Maria. It is time. It's time for another extreme grocery budget challenge. That's right. I am bringing you today a $30 Walmart extreme grocery budget challenge. This was awesome. We had a lot of fun with it. We had a lot of good food with it. Lots of good stuff. I'm excited to share. Here are the rules of the challenge. I can use things from my pantry like spices, whatnot. I always use spices these days. I've done, I think, one without it, and it was kind of crazy. So my recommendation to you, especially if you're on a budget, is to buy like 1 or 2 spices a week. The Dollar Tree has dollar spices. I know that Aldi also carries like 94-cent spices. Make it work. I think even Walmart spices, like their brand, is super cheap. So make it a priority to beef up your spice rack. You know, make sure you have chili powder, make sure you have all the basics. And I can link a link to an inexpensive spice rack below as well, so that if you know somebody who you're like, all right, they got a brand new apartment, like that's the perfect gift for somebody, because we need to have spices, people. Super important. So with that being said, yeah, we're using spices. We are also going to use oil, assuming I have oil on hand. And you can get oil at the Dollar Tree for $1. So if you need to add that to my cost, go ahead. We also tried to go as healthy as possible. I tried to include as many vegetables, etc. as I could. It's very difficult when you're on a limited budget. I do get that. We want to make sure we have enough calories versus sometimes the lower calorie, higher nutrient foods kind of get pushed to the back burner. But we do what we can. We try to make it as healthy as possible for you. As always, if you are struggling and you don't even have the $30 to spend for the week and you're really in trouble, there are local food banks and food pantries and churches that can help you. So reach out to your local church. They will get you hooked up with some food. I promise you, there are people to help. And if you're not struggling, consider donating. Even just like I said with the spices, grab a few cans a week and make sure to donate to your local food bank. I know after the holidays, a lot of the food pantries really struggle because people are not giving as much as they did during the holiday time. So people are still in need this time of year. So please consider doing that as well. So what I'm going to do here today is I'm going to show you what I got at Walmart for $30. Then I'm actually going to show you a meal plan. I wrote everything out to make it super easy to kind of follow, because I find it's difficult to follow these videos all the way through. We're talking 7 days of meals for 4 people, 3 meals a day. That's a lot of stuff. So we'll go through the meal plan, and then I'll go through everything that I made and try and share all the recipes with you. I am looking forward to this so much, so I hope you enjoy. All right, here's everything I got for our week's worth of food for $30. And I used Ibotta, so we have some things that I was able to bring the cost down with. But let me show you what I got and kind of what we're going to do with it. And then I'm going to do like a big meal prep and get everything ready, because I find that's the best way for me to make sure that we eat all of this all week and everything is ready for us. So I got this 100% whole wheat bread, and this was a substitution. So I initially ordered wheat bread and it was 88 cents, and this was still 88 cents for all of this, which I think that's quite a bit of bread. So what we're going to use this for is the kids are going to have grilled cheese sandwiches for lunch. So this should be plenty of bread for that. And then I got this Hungry Jack Complete, which has I think 17 servings. And you just add water, which is awesome. And I got 50 cents back on Ibotta. So you can get the Walmart brand, and that comes in a little bit more expensive. I think it's like $1.68. And with 50 cents back on this, I think you come in at around $1.50. So that's even better, and I like the size of it. Then I got this oatmeal for $1.18, and then also got 10 cents back on Ibotta. So this brings me to $1.08 for all of this oatmeal. And I'm thinking about making a baked oatmeal with this. I got 2 pounds of rice, and that will be good for rice and bean bowls. You can see we've got beans right here. So the 2 pounds of rice is $1.46. And if you can shop around, you can get 2 pounds of rice at the Dollar Tree for $1. So you might want to go that method and save 42 cents if you can. I was going only at Walmart today, so $1.42 for that. And then at $1.18, we have a pound of black beans, and $1.98 for 2 pounds of pinto beans. This can give us a lot of beans, a lot of rice. We can do some soups, some bean bowls, and burritos. Or tacos. And then I got 2 things of sauce. We have 4 cheese and garlic and herb, and these are $1 each. Got carrots for 82 cents. These are going to be great for snacks, also good for soup and bean bowls. Berry medley, which will be really, really good to make a little sauce for our pancakes, as well as good for our baked oatmeal. Muscle milk. This is $2.98, and it came in for free on Ibotta. So I was able to get $2.98 back, and I kind of thought, along with our baked oatmeal, I don't know how much we're going to be able to spread this. We might be able to use some of this muscle milk and make some breakfast overnight oats. So I'm thinking chocolate, muscle milk, overnight oats, get some extra protein in there, and we can use some of our berry medley with that, and I think that would be actually really, really good, and I think the kids would like that. And then I got 2 little bags. These are 49 cents each of Lay's and Cheetos, and then Ibotta had 75 cents back on any size bag. So 75 cents back on these, that means we made 26 cents on each of these, which just allows us to buy more stuff. So watch out for those really good deals on Ibotta. I got this cold brew tea that was also free. I got the full, I think it was $2.98 back on Ibotta, and this is not really part of anything. I have seen people on like Top Chef and stuff use tea for stuff, so I may try and incorporate it. We'll see. I might as well just drink it. Just figured I would get it. I got this salsa verde. I think this was like 40 something cents, which I think is a very good use or deal for us, because we're going to have quite a few Mexican items that we're going to want a little bit of salsa with. And then I'm using this as my sour cream. So we have our Chobani no fat Greek, and this was 67 cents. I had ordered, I think, the Great Value brand, and they replaced it with a Chobani, and they still kept it at 67 cents. So that's going to be perfect for our bowls. We're going to have to, obviously it's going to spread thin. I might even add a little water to it to kind of spread it out, but I think it'll still do what we need it to do. I got 2 of these ground turkeys. These come in the frozen sections, and they are $1.68 each. So we're going to have some, like I said, some tacos. We're definitely going to make our ground turkey go further by adding some pinto beans, kind of like a refried bean in there, and that will make our tacos and our bean bowls really good and less expensive. I got some chicken broth, and this will be really good for soups. I got a second ground turkey because we're going to have some spaghetti and meat sauce. I got this Cracker Barrel Sharp Yellow. Now, Walmart brand is $2.22. I got this because I had a $1 Ibotta back on it, and it was $3.18 with $1 back, so it made it $2.18. I saved 4 cents by getting this Cracker Barrel versus the Great Value, but you could obviously get the Great Value anytime that you like. I got these pizza crusts. I love these. These, you do need a little oil for water oil, yep. But I always include oil with my challenges as a pantry item, so if you don't have oil, you can get it for very, very cheap. I know you can get at least what you need for this at the Dollar Tree for $1. Pizza mix, and we're going to do 2 pizzas. Those are 52 cents each, and I think that they make just the most phenomenal pizza, so I'm excited for that. I was able to get 30 corn tortillas, which is probably even more than we're going to need, for $1.18. And I got this mozzarella cheese for our pizzas, and this is $2.22. Able to get 3 sweet potatoes for $1, which is going to be great for our bowls. Our spaghetti, 1 pound for $1. It was like 94 cents. Then I always like to use these. Now, I did Walmart pickup. Look at that. I should have said something. I looked at it. I think the rest of them are going to be okay, and I will probably put them in some water. These were 50 cents, and I always find that they're a little bit cheaper than buying an onion, and I get a lot more out of them, especially if I'm doing like Mexican bowls and tacos and burritos and stuff like that. And then I got 36 eggs for $3.86, I think. So that is our $30 worth of food. Oh, and I got 50 cents back automatically just for doing Walmart pickup. So I recommend you can use Ibotta. I'm going to put a link below so you can get $10 back on top if you have not used Ibotta before. And then you can get all of the money back for your items that you buy. I recommend using it. You can use it on a phone. You can also use it on a computer. So I think if you have a local library, which I highly recommend, and you don't have a computer, I think anybody should have access to Ibotta at this point. Go ahead and utilize your library, guys. I'm going to be pushing that all year because we're loving the library lately. And I'm going to put all this stuff away, and then I'm actually going to start prepping some stuff for you guys. So I will be showing you what I'm going to make, and I'm going to try and prep as much as possible because I find that is the best way for me to get everything done for the week and make sure that we don't end up having to go rogue and go off course. We want to stick to the food that we bought. However, I think we did an amazing job. I think for $30, we're going to eat quite well. We're going to have lots of stuff for breakfast. We even have a little bit of fruit. We have a lot of protein. We have some sweet potatoes. That's even really good for us. Eggs are amazing for you. Oh, I didn't even mention the bananas. The bananas were $1, and there was 6 of them. I think there's 5 now. One of the boys already ate one, so they're just snack items and also could taste good in a overnight oat as well. So let's get to meal prepping. Before we get into everything, I did want to show you guys my kitchen. Yes, that's right. That's where my kitchen used to be. So it's a little bit much, but it's a really, really old house from 1760. So that's what you're seeing here. And we're going through a full renovation. So I'm working off an island that just has my stove and my countertop and my sink. So that's what you'll see here today. All right, so here is the meal plan. I have breakfast and dinner on the first day, and then what I do on the last day for lunch is have kind of whatever's left over, kind of a free-for-all. And so I do this because I usually like to use leftovers. So on that first day, I don't really have any leftovers for lunch. So that's pretty much the point of that. So the first couple days, we're going to have eggs and pancakes for breakfast, and I have kind of like maxed out, how many eggs we're going to have. There is 17 servings of pancakes in the package, so there's quite a few, and there's going to be plenty. It should make 51 smaller pancakes, actually, so that should be plenty of pancakes for us to eat all week. I guess I'll just go through the breakfasts, and then lunches, and then dinners. So then one day we'll have some oatmeal, and then the rest of the week we're going to have oatmeal bars, and I'll show you how to make those. And then some pancakes, and I'll actually have extra muscle milk left over as well. So that's good, just a little something extra you can eat for breakfast. And then I also have an alternative breakfast option, which is a rice porridge, because with all of this food, we ended up with quite a bit of rice left over. So there's plenty of rice to make more breakfast. If you feel like that's not enough for you guys, you can make rice porridge as well. And rice porridge is good not only for breakfast, but you can also do lunches. So you can make more of a savory if you use some chicken bouillon in that, which we do have plenty left over. And you can even crack an egg with that, and it makes like an amazing, almost like Asian flavored, Asian inspired stew, especially if you add some soy sauce to it. So that's additional options for you, and that's all included in the food that I already purchased. And then for dinner the first night, we'll have spaghetti with meat sauce using the spaghetti and the ground turkey that we have, and then leftovers for lunch. That should be making 8 servings for us. That's plenty. Pizzas, I'm making 2 pizzas and then just having some carrots on the side, and that's again plenty for lunch and dinner. Tacos for us is using 10 of our 30 tortillas, and then the same thing for lunch the next day. I'm making a sweet potato black bean casserole, and that is also good for lunch the next day. And then I also have some grilled cheese and chips for the kids. So that's any combination. They may actually want to have more casserole. There should be plenty of casserole left as well, so that if there's 4 of you and you want to have some, there's definitely enough in there. Then I said soup. It's pinto bean soup, and then the kids not loving the pinto bean soup. I knew that they wouldn't, so they just had egg, bread, and some homemade tortilla chips, and I'll show you how to make those in the video, which is awesome. And then obviously it could be toast too, like, breakfast for dinner, but my kids just don't like toast. They just eat plain bread for some reason. So they used their wheat bread wisely. And then what are we on to? Day 6 here. We've got leftover soup and then grilled cheeses for the kids with chips again. So a couple days of grilled cheese, and then not much more on the grilled cheese, just because we didn't have a lot of cheese left, because I used most of the mozzarella on the pizza and then most of the cheddar on between tacos and the casserole. So the grilled cheese are sparing in that case. And then chili on day 6. And then the next day, we kind of did something a little bit different. I wrote this meal plan out ahead of time, and then what really happened in real life. Like, the kids liked the chili a little bit, but they ended up eating again like egg and bread. And then we ended up having extra chili here, and then the bean bowls on the last day. So I had already made up the bean bowls, so they were already there. And then the last night is breakfast for dinner. So again, kind of like a free-for-all, right? Whatever you have left of pancakes and eggs, and I had quite a bit, like I had quite a bit of pancakes left, so those are also good for lunch the next day. Yeah, so on the free-for-all day, we ended up actually eating the bean bowls, and then the kids had leftover pancakes. I mean, you would think they'd be pancaked out. I always share this with you guys. My kids still eat the snacks during the house when we do these challenges because they are 3 and 5, so they have no understanding of, like, I would say they can't eat something. So I always make sure that this is, you know, enough for me and that I eat all the foods, but I don't really, I try to, but I don't, you know, insist that they can't have any other snacks or anything like that. And then throughout this, we had 6 bananas, so we had snacks with that too. And then I had some notes here to mention like how we can stretch things. So because I had so much rice left over, I really felt like you could have served the chili over rice or the pinto bean soup over rice, and it would have stretched it quite a bit further too. And then we just had a lot of extra taco filling, pretty much taco filling and rice. So that would be more, you know, snacky, just like mix it up bowls as well. So I think there was really plenty of food, and I'm excited to show you, you know, how it went down. So as you saw, since I did my grocery haul, the entire wall got knocked out in my kitchen. So I'm working in my living room here, trying to make it work, and I ended up going back to the island later on in the film. But right now, I'm just going to try and make up a bunch of pancakes for the beginning of the week, and I'm just doing it by following the instructions on the package, mixing my pancake batter with water. Honestly, I just go by feel here. I've made these pancakes in water so many times, I know basically how I want to have them and how the consistency should be. And then with these, I decided just to pour some of my fruit in there and just kind of make them fruit pancakes, and that way they're kind of almost like muffins, a little bit more fun. Sometimes it's helpful just to kind of zazz things up for the kids and adults, just to make it something different so you're not eating pancakes every single day forever. And it's a good way to get some vitamins and minerals in there. So here's my stack of pancakes that'll get us through the first few days, and then I'm going to make more pancakes midweek as well. So due to the construction, I didn't really get to prepping that first day like I had hoped, but we were going to have spaghetti and meat sauce here. So I'm just salting my water. I'm going to cook my spaghetti according to the instructions on the package, and then I'm just cooking up some of that ground turkey. I just want to brown that up, and then I'm going to add an entire can of sauce. If you're looking for a meal to add to your regular rotation that is super inexpensive, don't forget about spaghetti and meat sauce. This meal comes in at less than $4, and it gives you 8 servings. You just buy the inexpensive ground turkey from either Walmart or Aldi and mix that with a $1 can of sauce, a $1 thing of spaghetti, and you are pretty much there. That is it. It is simple, it is delicious, and everybody loves it. It is a crowd pleaser. Now here my husband is going to give us a little voiceover on what we're doing with the spaghetti.
So what we're doing here is we got the spaghetti in the pot, and you want to reserve some of that water, and we're just slowly going to soup the sauce into the pot. Just scrape it gently to get that. Yeah, the Teflon helps with that. This is a good pan. All right, she's getting every last bit of it. You don't want to waste any of that. And now what you want to do with that pan is put it in the sink rather quickly, otherwise that stuff will harden like concrete. Now you want to take your tongs and you want to toss the spaghetti into the meat sauce like this. And what you want to do is you want to get good coverage. You know, you don't want any sauce not without spaghetti, and you don't want any spaghetti without any sauce. That's kind of what we're trying to do here. It's really not rocket science, but it's also not easy. So just watch how she does it. She does a little twist. She lifts. She pinches. She pulls. She pushes. And she's doing a great job right now. And you can see the steam coming off that spaghetti. That means it's really hot. Huh? Thumbs up.
We're good.
We're good.
That's good.
We're all sitting here.
Okay, time to eat. You ready?
All right. Now we're going to eat. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this pot over to the table.
Okay. I'm sorry, guys. I couldn't not put that in there. That just cracked me up so much. He just started doing it, and he doesn't normally have that accent. We are from New England, but it's just too funny.
I have to do this.
Is it good?
Yeah. It's good.
All right, so moving on from the hilarity that ensued, we're gonna start soaking some beans here. So I've just rinsed my 2 pounds of pinto beans, and then I'm putting them in this bowl. And if I was going to recommend something next time, use a bigger bowl. These things get huge when you put water on them. So I just want to cover them with about 1 inch of water, and like I said, maybe even go with more than that, because the pinto beans in particular, they really beefed right up. So just gonna let them sit for 6 to 8 hours overnight, really. And then you want to do the exact same thing with your black beans. Luckily, these were in a little bit larger of a bowl, and I only had 1 pound. So again, just rinse them off. Make sure you get all the pebbles out of there. I've never actually found a pebble, but any ones that don't look really good. And then pour those in the bowl, let them sit overnight, and then you can cook up your beans. Now that my beans have soaked, I actually did this the same day, so I think this was day 2. I decided we're gonna have tacos for dinner. And so I did that early in the morning, and then in the afternoon they had soaked for plenty of time. They were nice and soft. So I was able to make our refried beans, and I actually decided to cook up the black beans as well. In order to cook these, I am just salting them a little bit with about a teaspoon of salt. And then the recipe calls for a large white onion. I didn't have an onion, so I decided to put in about a tablespoon of onion powder. It seems like a lot, but we want a lot of flavor in these, like not afraid. Let's boost up what we have. And then I ended up doing pretty much the same thing with the black beans, although I had half of the black beans that I did the pinto beans, so I put a little bit less onion powder in. You just want to bring those up to a boil and then bring them down to a simmer and let them simmer for about 1 hour. And at that point, your beans should be nice and basically mushy, fully cooked through, the way that any bean should look, and that's how you'll know that they're done. And then I set aside the black beans and then reserved the juice from the pinto beans. And you could reserve the black bean stuff as well. Put that in the freezer, use it for something else. I wasn't using it for anything this challenge. I've never really found a use for a black bean broth. But hey, if you have one, please comment below and let me know what you use it for. And now we're going to make our refried beans. So I'm just pouring in a couple tablespoons of olive oil. I was being a little bit liberal with my spices, but the recipe says to add 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 3/4 teaspoon of cumin, and half a teaspoon of dried oregano. And then I'm just using a potato masher to mash these babies up. I want to make sure that they're still, a little bit chunky, I guess, but it's going to be kind of your choice on the refried beans. You also want to add in about a 1/4 cup of that reserved bean broth. And then if you feel like you need more, add it. So you want to make sure that these are the consistency that you want your refried beans to be. And you'll see here I'm adding more bean broth as time goes on because I want to make sure mine are not too chunky. And that's why you have it on the side. It is no problem. You can just add as you go, and you can make some amazing homemade refried beans for pennies on the dollar. Like, these are so cheap. You get so many of them. And if you weren't doing this for the challenge, go ahead and make these up and put them in the freezer, and that way you have them. They're ready to go. So much cheaper than buying cans of them. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use what I'm going to call a Jordan Page method. If you ever follow Jordan Page from funcheaperfree.com, she taught me this one. Absolutely love it. So I will end up adding my refried beans to my meat, but first I just want to season it a little bit. And I was just yelling to my husband, like, what's the ingredients in taco seasoning? So we need chili powder, garlic powder, onion powder, oregano, cumin, paprika, salt, and pepper. So really any combination of that will work for you. It's very forgiving. These are tacos, guys. They're very simple. And the brand of ground turkey that I got usually comes in a taco seasoned, like already seasoned packet. So for the same exact price, you can get already seasoned ground turkey from Walmart. They just didn't have it the time that I went, but most of the time that they do. So I 100% would have gotten that had I had the opportunity. So grab that next time you go if you're going to make one of these. Again, tacos are like the go-to inexpensive, simple meal. Because I winged that so much, I am definitely linking the recipe for the taco seasoning down below that I based it off of, and I will be linking all of the recipes that I base all of these things off of, so no worries if you miss anything. You can either rewind, or if I wasn't clear enough, go ahead and check out the recipe yourself below. It will be in the description box. So here I'm just mixing together my refried beans and my turkey meat. You can see I actually have quite a bit of refried beans left as well. And these are something that I ended up having really left over at the end. Like, these are what I should have, I guess, eaten as a snack if I needed it, or if you needed an extra meal, but we just didn't need them. We had a lot of pinto beans. So like I said, go ahead and freeze them up if you have extra. So here is what it looks like, and I was a little nervous, like, is this going to go over okay with the fam? So we're just using a little bit of shredded cheddar cheese and some non-fat plain Greek yogurt as our toppings, and it was a win. Like, everybody loved it, no problem. I can always convince the family and the kids, I guess, to eat something else in their tacos, and they are down with it, so not mad about that. So here's everything going in the fridge after this prep. I have a whole big container of black beans that I'll use for bowls and chili. I have my leftover refried beans, and I actually mix that with the leftover turkey mixture. Then I've got a bunch of salsa, I've got some pinto beans, and then I had the pinto bean broth that I saved. I didn't end up using, so I should have just frozen it, and it is what it is. So here I'm just going to make my rice. I'm just making the entire package of rice according to the instructions on the package, and I think it turned out quite nice. Now, once my rice was done, I took up this opportunity to cook up some bean bowls. So I just shredded up a carrot and cut up a scallion, and I've got some salsa and my beans. Just going to mix it all together here and create some beautiful bean bowls. And we actually didn't end up eating these till like the last day of the challenge, but they were available if we needed them. You'd think you definitely could have made more too. Like, I ended up using these black beans for chili, but had you made a couple more bean bowls, I don't think it would have made a big difference in our chili situation at all. So on day 3, I was doing a bunch of prep, and I prepped my sweet potato black bean casserole for my day 4 dinner. So I'm just poking some holes in these sweet potatoes, and then I'm cooking them in my mini oven. I mean, it's an air fryer, but it's also a toaster oven. So I was cooking everything in here that needed to be baked in the oven, and I cooked these for about an hour, and they turned out pretty good. So just cut them in half and take the skins off of them, and then slice them up into little squares. I think if I were to do it again, I'd cook them for a little bit less time. Now, in a bigger oven, it cooks, I think, a little bit slower because my oven is so small. I think it just cooks things faster. So I will leave a recipe below for you guys for baked sweet potatoes so that you can follow that if you're using like a full-size oven. But just know if you're using a smaller oven, everything cooks a little bit faster. So you just want to dice those up. And then I'm going to make a smoky sweet potato and black bean casserole. Now, I've made casseroles like this for years. I just take either rice or quinoa, or even like cauliflower rice, whatever you have on hand that is a grain, mix black beans, sweet potatoes, and then whatever else you have that's kind of Mexican. I think it really started off being based off of like an enchilada casserole that I had made. And then, yeah, just for years, anytime that I'm just trying to clean out my cabinets and I don't have any, fresh food, I'll just go with like cans of black beans, or I'll make black beans, and I'll make a casserole like this, which is also great to make ahead. So it's one of those great make ahead meals that's inexpensive and it gets you through the week. So I'm just going to use about, half a container of my rice, so probably 3 or 4 cups. Mix that with my sweet potatoes, and you'll start to notice here, I should have just put this all in a bowl and then poured it into the casserole dish because it was just not easy for me to mix together. So I do end up doing this eventually. And then I'm adding a couple of ends of scallions, about 3 cups of black beans, and this is where I'm mixing things and things are starting to go a little sideways. The recipe I was loosely basing this off of said to use an entire onion, so I did decide to add about a half a teaspoon of onion powder, and then the recipe actually calls for a whole tablespoon of smoked paprika, which seems like a lot, so I think I added probably about a half, and then some salt. And then I am adding in about a 1/4 cup of my red sauce. So I'm mostly going to use this red sauce for pizza and chili, but adding a little bit of red sauce to this rice mixture was a great idea. It just gives it a little bit of liquid and a little bit of flavor, adds that little tomato, because the recipe that I was basing it off did call for diced tomatoes, but I just didn't have them. Here's when I realized, all right, we had to go with a bowl. So I pour everything into a large bowl, and this worked out much, much, much better. So I'm just pouring this into this. The reason I'm using these little casserole dishes is because they actually fit in my oven, but I think you could use like a 13x9, it would be fine. And then I'm putting about a half a cup, 1/4 cup to a half a cup of the shredded cheese. You just want to save a little bit for the kids' grilled cheeses, and then covering that with another scallion chopped up. And here is our delicious casserole. I'm just going to cover this up, and then we will eat it tomorrow night for dinner. All right, same day here, we're gonna make pizza. So I'm using 2 of these Walmart pizza crusts, and this actually worked out perfect. Like, one of these pizzas was exactly what we needed for dinner, and we were able to have more the next day. So I'm just following the instructions on the package. It just is just add water, and then you just make it into a ball, and then add a little bit of olive oil over the top. Just let it sit for a little bit, and you have this perfect dough. I absolutely love this dough.
For 52 cents, you seriously can't beat it. It's so buttery and yummy. So again, I'm putting this inside my pans that I know fit in my oven, but generally I would use like a full-size pizza pan and this would fit in it just fine. It's actually supposed to be like a thin and crispy, so this actually turned out like a little bit thicker, which made the pizza more filling, so that was fine. There was just probably less slices. So whatever way you want to do it. So once you stretched out in your pan, you want to take a fork and then just prick it with a fork. And then this actually has you kind of like par cook it, almost like you would do with a pie crust. Just pop it in the oven for a few minutes. I forget what it says in the package, but it clearly explains. And then you take it out and then you put your pizza sauce on. And then I'm just topping mine with mozzarella, making it very simple. Obviously, if you have more toppings at home or you have a few extra bucks, get some pepperoni or anything else that you like on pizza and make it your own. And I feel like the camera is making this look really small, like individual size. It's not. It's a full-size pizza. There's plenty for all of us here. This is what it looks like, and the family loved it. It was a huge hit. So now I'm going to get working on my soup. So we ate pizza. Now I'm keeping working because I'm like, this is the day I'm going to prep. I got to make all the food. Didn't really have to cook the rest of the week, which was great. So just slicing up some carrots and some scallions to get everything going. And here I'm going to get 2 soups going at the same time. And what I'm going to try and do is give you the recipe for each one at a time. It may not follow along with what I'm doing just because I did things kind of simultaneously, but I want to make sure that it's very, very clear for you guys exactly what soups I'm making and where. So the larger pot, I'm going to make a Mexican pinto bean soup, and then in the smaller pot, I'm going to make a chili. So both of these are variations on other soups. When I do these challenges, you know, we are shorter on ingredients, so I try and find recipes that are lower ingredient recipes, but have a lot of flavor, and that I can really supplement ingredients with a heavy spice cabinet. So the first thing I'm doing is just putting about 1 scallion in each pot, and then I have about 2 diced up carrots in each pot. And then we've got a little salt going in. So they're both starting the exact same way. Also some fresh cracked pepper. Most soups you're going to make are going to start like this, except maybe they'll have celery or fresh diced onion, which in this case I did not have. So let me talk you through our pinto bean soup first. So the main ingredients in this soup are going to be the carrots, scallions, pinto beans, and chicken bouillon. And that's pretty much it. So right now I'm pouring in my 2 cups of chicken bouillon, and later you'll see that I add another 2 cups. So my original recipe was for 1 times the recipe, and I just thought that was not going to be enough soup, and I knew that we could stretch it. So what I ended up doing was adding an additional 2 cups of water and 1 of our chicken bouillon. So that's 2 chicken bouillons in there and 4 cups of water. And now I'm adding in my spices. So you want to add in 2 teaspoons of onion powder, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons each of oregano, cumin, and paprika. Now I'm bringing the soup up to a boil, and I'm going to let it simmer for about 10 minutes. Once it's simmered for 10 minutes, I'm going to add in my pinto beans, which is really just everything I have left of my pinto beans. According to the recipe, this would be 2 28-ounce cans of pinto beans, which seems about right. And then you want to let it simmer for another 10 minutes. Now for our chili recipe. Start off by adding to your sauteing carrots a teaspoon of onion powder, a teaspoon of garlic powder, a tablespoon of chili powder, and a teaspoon of cumin. Then you want to kind of move those around and then add about a 1/2 cup of the Hunt's tomato sauce. Follow that up with about a 1/2 jar of the same tomato sauce of water. And then about 1 to 2 cans of beans. So I just eyeballed this based off of the beans that I had left. And then, like I said earlier, I kind of wrote down the bottom. I ended up adding some pinto beans as well. And then you just want to let this simmer for about 20 minutes and make sure that all your flavors meld and make sure that it cooks down a little bit. Because if you look at it at first, it's like a little bit watery. And the thing about chili is that the chili powder will really kind of get into everything and give everything a lot of flavor. You just need to give it a little bit of time. So once my 20 to 25 minutes is up on my pinto bean soup, I'm just using an immersion blender to kind of mush down some of the beans and make it a lot thicker. This was a phenomenal idea and really thickened up this soup. If you don't have an immersion blender, you could very easily put this into a regular blender. Just take like about a cup of it, put it in there, and then pour it back into the soup, or just use a fork to mash everything down. Now I popped those in the fridge and moved on to making some baked oatmeal. So I'm using about 2 cups of my oatmeal here, and you can see that I have a bunch left, so I definitely have a couple of days worth of oatmeal, which worked out just fine. It was great. We put that with some of the fruit, and that was a great way to kind of put some diversity into our breakfast. So here I just added 2 teaspoons of cinnamon and a half a teaspoon of salt, and then I'm adding 1 cup of this muscle milk. So the recipe that I was using called for 1 cup of regular milk, but I figured, hey, let's go with protein, let's make it chocolatey. I couldn't believe how chocolatey this protein muscle milk was. So I added 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract there, and now I'm adding 3 eggs. The recipe called for egg whites, but I figured we have the full eggs. Let's get some more calories in there. Let's make these a little bit more dense. So I'm just mixing everything up, and I'm going to put it in an 8x8 pan. And then I decided to put some of our fruit on top to kind of make it look a little pretty. So I placed all of some, pieces of the frozen fruit right on top there, and then I bake that in the oven at 350 degrees for 25 minutes. So this is what it looks like when it comes out, pretty much the same. The only thing I would have done differently is maybe put some parchment paper in the bottom of this pan because it was definitely difficult to get out. I did put some oil in it before I put it in the oven, but it was kind of sticky. It came off okay, just a little bit more difficult than I think parchment paper would have been. So I cut this into 9 slices, and this was really good. Definitely a healthy snack. Like, you can tell that it's healthy. If I were to do it again and I had unlimited ingredients, I probably would have added a little bit of brown sugar or something to kind of sweeten it up. But with coffee, it's absolutely good. And again, this is like so healthy. So I think that anything like this that you can get in one of these challenges is totally worth it. And like I said, delicious with coffee, or maybe if you put a little bit of maple syrup over it or have something like that, then it would be amazing. So here's my breakfast on day 4. It was a crazy day. I didn't do a lot of recording, so I kind of missed the casserole eating and didn't get any lunches, so the breakfast is all I have, but we did eat that casserole, and here is dinner on day 5. We just had leftover casserole for lunch and the same breakfast as day 4. And I'm making up some homemade tortilla chips. So I have 10 tortillas left. I figured I'd just use 3 of them, make chips for tonight, and then when it's chili night, use the other 7. So I'd never done this before, but it turned out great. So you just slice them up using a pizza cutter. You can use a knife too, and just make them into little triangles. Then I'm just brushing them with a little bit of olive oil, sprinkling them with salt, and then placing them on this wire rack. You can place them really on any rack. This is what I happen to have for my tiny little oven these days, and putting a little salt on them. Then place them in the oven at 350 degrees for 12 minutes, flipping at 6 minutes. Now, because my oven was a lot smaller, I think I did these in less than 10. So just watch them. You really don't want to overcook them. Everyone's oven cooks differently. They turned out amazing. So here I'm just going to have our pinto bean soup, and I'm just putting these in our bowls, and I'm actually just going to microwave this. You can do it any way you want. You could pop it on the stove if you wanted to. You can see there's plenty left there for the next day for lunch for us, and this is what our chips come out like. They're super crispy, amazing. I will probably do this in the future when I have extra tortilla chips. And then my kids, they just weren't going to eat the pinto bean soup. So this night I'm just cutting up a carrot for them and just having that as like their little vegetable. And then they're also going to have some scrambled eggs and 2 slices of bread. Like I said, they don't like toast, so they just ate plain bread. And here's the soup with the chips. Like, this was so good. I was just dipping the chips. They're just so crispy in the soup, and it just gets so flavorful. I would recommend the soup any day. Like, it's absolutely amazing. And I feel like this would freeze really well too. So you want to make a batch of this because it's super inexpensive. Put it in your freezer. You'll be good to go. So now we're moving on to dinner on day 6. I'm doing kind of the same thing here, guys. So I've got my tortilla chips cooking, and I'm just placing my chili in my bowls for my husband and I. I think originally I thought the kids were going to eat it, and then they didn't. They pretty much had the same dinner they had the night before, because there was plenty of bread, plenty of eggs, all that stuff. And then we just had this with our tortilla chips, and it was so good with a little sprinkle of scallions. If you obviously have any cheese or sour cream, go for it. And now we're on to our final dinner, day 7, and it is breakfast for dinner, which is amazing. Like, I need to have this more often. Who doesn't love breakfast for dinner? Everybody was so excited. And I'm just cooking up the last of our pancakes and the last of our eggs. I think I had like 8 eggs left, which was perfect. And I had a bunch of pancakes. We didn't even eat all those pancakes. It went over so well. All right, guys, I'm trying to find like a quiet place because the kids are listening to music like crazy upstairs, which is great. But I just wanted to give you like a little outro and say how awesome things were. I think one thing that I missed, and I swear I had footage on this, was the grilled cheeses, but the kids loved them. I honestly just put a little bit of shredded cheese on some wheat bread and then popped them in the oven. Like, I didn't even use like butter or anything, which my husband was horrified. But kids don't care. Like, that's good. Grilled cheese in the oven. It's healthier too.
And they got to eat their Cheetos, which they thought was like the greatest thing ever. And then bananas as snacks too, ate those all week. So everything went really well. The food was great. Like a lot of it is like basic budget food, right? Rice and beans. Like I said, that spaghetti, tacos, all that stuff was great. Totally affordable. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. I just want to thank you guys so much for being here with me today. I appreciate you all so much. You want to see more of these? Definitely give it that thumbs up. Please give it a thumbs up and support the channel. If you're new here, I have a whole playlist of these. So I'm going to pop that playlist up there for you so you can see more of those. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell because I'm actually going to have another Extreme Grocery Budget Challenge next week. So stay tuned and I will see you then. Bye.
I've been waiting all my life for someone like you, like you.